Okay. Well, we got new equipment. I didn't know how to work it, so. Court does call the case people versus Brandon G.
And is it on behalf of the people, Your Honor?
Assistant Public Defender Ben Denowith on behalf of Mr. Gievers, who is standing to my right. Brandon, would you state your name for the record, please?
Brandon Gievers.
Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Sir, you're waiving your right to a preliminary examination?
Yes, sir.
You understand that's a proceeding where the people would have to show by probable cause that the offense alleged was committed and that you committed it.
Yes, sir.
You understand that you'll not have that here. You'll proceed to circuit court for further resolution.
Yes, sir.
People also waive their right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Preliminary examination having been waived, defendants bound over to circuit court on count 1 with 2 following.
Your Honor, we will waive the formal reading and stand mute.
Defendant having waived formal reading, standing mute to both counts. Court will enter a not guilty plea. Pretrial will be set for July 17, 2025, 1:30. Judge Slay.
Your Honor, could I address Ron briefly?
He's out.
He's out, but he's on a tether, and the complaining witness apparently lives thousands of miles away. So I don't think the tether serves any purpose, and we'd ask the court to take it off.
Your Honor, I just have concerns given the facts of this case. I'll leave it in the court's discretion, but I just have concerns given the highly valued factors in this case of strangulation. But she does reside out of state, Your Honor.
They're not in any proximity to each other.
No.
At all. It's just a GPS location track.
I would ask the court, if we don't leave the tether on until tomorrow, she is in state today. So I would have concerns for her safety while she's here and ask that the tether be removed tomorrow when she's back out of state.
Right. His bond will continue. What I will do is I send an order. We'll remove the GPS tether effective Friday.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Court does call the case People versus Sierra McCoy Nobles.
People?
Good morning, Your Honor. Edward Drupes on behalf of Sierra McCoy Nobles.
Your name, ma'am?
Yeah, McCoy Nobles.
Thank you. This is a waiver.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you're waiving your right to a preliminary examination?
Yes,
And you understand that's a proceeding where the people would have to show by probable cause that the offenses alleged were committed and that you committed them.
yes,
You understand you'll not have that here. You'll proceed to circuit court for further resolution.
yes,
All right. People also waive their right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Preliminary examination having been waived, defendants bound over to circuit court on counts 1, 2, and 3 with 4 following. Mr. Jerkes.
Your Honor, we acknowledge receipt of the information, stand mute, waive reading, and ask for a pretrial date.
Defendant having waived formal reading, standing mute to all 4 counts. Court will enter a not guilty plea. Pretrial will be set for July 17, 2025, 1:30 before Judge Slay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Bond will continue. The cases of the People versus Brandon Carter.
I'm good. And the show was appearing on behalf of people.
Didn't mean to wake you. No.
Lauren Brown, Deputy Chief Public Defender, appearing on behalf of Mr. Brandon Carter. It has been discovered that Mr. Carter has been lodged at the Monroe County Jail.
Oh,
But he is unable to make this court date. He'd love to, but
so he's currently lodged there?
that is my understanding.
Is that also the People's understanding?
My officer in charge.
Okay, so do we know how long he will be there?
No, I do not have that information as of yet, Your Honor.
We don't.
All right, well, why don't I do this then? Hey, I'll find good cause adjourn the preliminary examination. I can set it for the 3rd or the 24th of June, which would 24th. June 24th, 2025.
You don't have the.
Then this is all messed up. Why? Oh, I can't. You're right.
Correct. You have the 17th in the afternoon.
I have the 17th of,
Yes, of June, because it's Juneteenth, so it's PMs.
oh,
So June 17th?
June 17th, 2025 at 12 noon.
Now, would the court consider, I'm just a nominal bond in the event if he were to be released, at least he wouldn't drift off into the ether because he wouldn't necessarily have notice of this date. Obviously, we will work to rid him, but I don't know. He may get out of Monroe County Jail between now and June 17th.
Any response?
A very, very nominal bond, Your Honor. Like $10.
Brown, when have you ever known me to set a $10 bond? I think I did once. Still haven't seen that person. I'll set bond in both cases at 1,010%.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Versus Lawrence Buckner.
And on behalf of the people, Your Honor,
Good morning, man. Please, this honorable court, Kareem Johnson, on behalf of Mr. Buckner, approaching and seated to my right.
State your name, sir. Thank you. All right. Date and time set for preliminary examination. You may proceed.
that's correct, Your Honor. The people are ready to proceed. We intend on calling one witness, and the people call their first witness.
You may.
We would call Amy Hudson to the stand.
Is he on the phone again? Is he on his phone or no? Because you did that at the. Pardon? Council approach, please.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? See, state and spell your first and last name for the record.
My name is Amy. It's A-M-E-E. My last name is Simpson. A-S-O.
All right, you may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. And just one other matter. My officer in charge, Deputy Von Heath, is present in the courtroom. He's the only other witness I have present. I don't intend to call him, but he is present in the
All right, very good.
Miss Hudson, directing your attention back to the date of April the 1st of this year, 2025, were you in this courthouse testifying in a preliminary examination on a different matter?
Yes.
Okay. And was that in this very courtroom, courtroom C?
Yes.
Okay. And who was the judge at the time?
Washington.
Judge Washington? Okay. And was the defendant in that case, based on your understanding, Ms. Hudson, Mr. Buckner?
Yes.
Is he present in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Can you identify an article of clothing that he's wearing?
He was wearing a black.
Okay. Your Honor, may the record reflect in-court identification of the defendant?
Without objection, record shows so reflect.
And I don't want to get into the facts of that case, but you were some sort of witness in that criminal case. Was that a criminal case?
Yes.
Okay. And you were a witness in it?
Yes.
Okay. And had you testified before Judge Washington in that matter on the date of April 1st, 2025?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, were you done testifying?
Yes.
Okay. After you were done testifying, what did you do?
I went and sat back down while they called up the next witness.
Okay. Where did you sit down?
I sat about where I was sitting when I stood up today, maybe one row up.
Okay. So we're making a transcription of this. So I'm going to have to
I
be.
was on the right-hand side, probably the third row back.
You're pointing in the courtroom. So you remained in the courtroom?
Yes, I remained in.
Okay. So you sat down in what we would call the gallery of the courtroom from where you are sitting in the witness stand on the right-hand side. And you said about the third row back.
Third row back.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did that while another witness was testifying.
Yes.
Okay. And at some point in time, did that witness stop testifying?
Yes.
Okay. What happened after that witness stopped testifying?
The judge asked for some more information and then she called for a break.
Okay. The judge showed up to take a break? Okay. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. And what happened when the judge stood up to take a break?
When they called the court for recess, he was on the left-hand side.
Who is he?
That was on the left-hand side. He stood up. He was around two people that had already started to be in the row.
I'm going to just stop you right there. So you've said the left-hand side, that would be the left-hand side of the courtroom from where you are seated in the witness stand today.
Yes.
Okay. That would be the side that the defendants normally sit at?
Yes.
Okay. Where was the defendant seated?
He was in the first row back.
In the gallery?
In the gallery.
Okay, so he was not seated at counsel table?
No.
Okay. So the judge got off the bench and exited the courtroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the judge, she did not exit the courtroom right away. She stood up, as they were calling. There was two people up front talking to her. And then when she got done speaking to them, that's when they called the recess. And he stood up.
He being the defendant?
The defendant, yeah. Went towards the middle. There was two people already going to go to exit. He waited until the sound went out.
Okay, when you say how do you know he waited until the sound went out?
Because he turned around and he looked. He stopped.
Objection, speculation.
I'm gonna overrule the objection. I'm gonna let her.
He stopped. He looked back. The minute
Hold on. Look back at
the
where?
screen. He looked back at the screen to make sure that the judge.
I'm gonna just,
Okay.
I'll stop you there. We're gonna unpack this a little bit. And Judge, I understand the court's concern. So you observed the defendant. You said he stopped. Where did he physically stop?
In the middle.
In the middle aisle?
In the middle of the aisle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where was he in the middle of the aisle, close to what we would call the bar or close to the back door of the court?
He was in the middle, like closer towards this side of
Your motion, the right side.
the right side.
Okay.
Yes.
But I'm asking you, distance-wise, was he in this area or was he in the back part of the
No, he was closer towards the
front? Okay. You are still, fair to say, you are still seated in the third row
I'm still seated.
on the right, your right side of the courtroom.
Yes.
Okay. When the defendant stopped, is he looking at you or is he looking somewhere else?
When he first stopped, he was looking like straight ahead.
Straight ahead.
And then he turned
Straight ahead toward.
Yeah,
towards the exit door.
towards the exit door.
Yes.
Okay.
And then when he stopped, he turned around and he looked.
And in what direction, when he turns around and looks, in what direction is he looking?
He's looking to see if the judge is.
I'm not, and so I'm not asking you things that you see, things that you hear, things that you witness. You can't testify to what someone else is thinking.
Right.
Okay.
No, he
So,
turned in the direction as to where the judge stand is.
okay. So just so we're clear, the defendant was looking towards the back doors of the courtroom. He then turned around and is looking in the direction of where the bench and the TVs are.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the bench and the TVs are.
At some point, does he then turn back around to look towards the back door?
Yes, he does.
When did he do that?
The minute the screen started making that sound.
Like a whoosh, white noise sound?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like
And
it's no longer.
And I will direct your attention right.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll direct your attention right now. There are screens on in this courtroom. You see those?
Yes.
And they're depicting the court and yourself in the witness stand. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did the screens look like that when the okay. What did they look like if
They
you look?
were like, as if cable went out, they were, there was nothing there. It said private.
Okay, it said private.
There's a black screen with private written in white.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
At that point, once the screens changed from showing the video of the courtroom to this private, what did the defendant do?
He walked on to the right-hand side, stopped to where I was sitting and, made verbal threats.
Okay. He said something to you?
Yes,
What did he say to you?
he called me,
I'm going to stop you right there.
yes,
Hold on a moment. You mentioned something and I just need to clarify that there was static.
yes, sir.
What was that you're talking about?
There was no more picture showing. It was just like when you call up the lawyers to speak to you,
Mm-hmm.
the screen makes a noise. It makes it makes a noise. I don't know how to describe it. It's not it's not a silent noise. It makes a noise to where it's not recording anymore. Do you want me to sit down so you can turn it off?
No.
Okay.
I'm pretty much here every day. I'm just trying to figure out what you're talking about. You're saying it made a noise.
Yes, the screen went blank, and it's not like it's crushing out a noise. Like there's a noise
Coming out of the speakers.
Yes, coming out of the speakers.
Was it a constant noise?
It started, and then I'll be honest, I don't know if it was on.
Gotcha. Okay, just one other thing.
That's fine.
When you said Judge Washington was talking to two people, was he talking to two people in front of the bench or two
Yes.
people behind the bench?
No, two people in front.
So she was speaking to two people in front of the bench. All right. At the point at which she's doing that, can you hear that conversation?
No,
Okay, at the point at which she's doing that, do you hear anything in the courtroom?
no. I mean, I can hear people talk, but not up front. I mean, just what, people may be saying as they're sitting on the gallery.
Right, but do you hear anything else?
No,
Okay. And she had that conversation and then turned around and left.
yes, yep, they call.
At the point that that happened, what was on the screen?
Before, when she got done speaking to them,
Not as she's talking to them. What's on the screen?
there's nothing on the screen. And then when she got done speaking, then the video came back up before they called recess.
And when you say the video came back up, the video like it is right now?
Yes, and it
Okay.
just showed her on the bench. There was no one on the stand.
Okay, go ahead.
So at some point, as we've discussed, the defendant then turns and is walking, now facing back towards the back door,
Yes.
which would also be in the direction that you are in relation to the defendant.
He's just recapping what she's saying, so I'll overrule that. Go ahead.
Yes,
Okay. And you had previously said the defendant said something to you.
yes.
Okay. What did he say to you?
He called me a lying bitch and told me that that he was gonna get even, he was gonna get me. That was the last thing he did. He was gonna get me.
Did you say anything in response to that?
No,
How did that statement by the defendant make you feel?
correct.
After he made that statement to you, where did the defendant go?
He turned around, looked back one more time.
I'm going to stop you there just so we're clear. So the time he's talking to you, is the defendant looking towards the back of the courtroom or the front of the courtroom?
He's looking he's looking at me.
Right.
At the exit.
Okay, so he's facing away from where the judge would sit.
Yes,
Okay. After he makes that statement, you said he turns around?
yes.
Okay. When he turns around, in what direction is he now facing?
He's facing back towards the front where the judge would be sitting for
Okay.
this area.
At the time he turns around, is the judge on the bench?
No,
Okay. If you recall, at the time he turns around, who would be on, and I'm motioning on the other side of the bar, who were there attorneys or people present?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
his lawyer was still on the left-hand side. You guys are still on the right-hand side.
You guys being someone from the prosecutor's office?
Prosecuting, yes. And there was one officer also on the right-hand side, and there was one officer sitting out in the galley, like 2 up from me.
Okay. So the defendant makes a statement to you. He turns around and he's now facing back in the direction of where the judge would sit. And what happens next?
The minute he saw that his lawyer was coming out, he turned around and took out the exit door.
Okay.
So again, speculation of what my client saw.
I would agree. So
Let me ask-
his lawyer, what you saw, ma'am, was his lawyer starting to leave and then he left.
Yeah. The minute he
That's
saw-
what you, no, that's what you saw.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think that corrects it. That's what, go ahead.
And did you remain seated in the gallery of the courtroom or did you exit the courtroom at that point?
I remained seated.
Okay. And at some point after this fact, did you bring what had happened to someone else's attention?
Yes.
And who was
It
that?
was one of the police officers.
One of the police officers present in the courtroom?
Yes.
Okay. After you made contact with the police officer, did you have any further interactions with the defendant, Mr. Buckner? Okay. Certainly not in the courtroom,
Right.
correct?
Right.
Okay. Anything in the hallway of the courthouse?
No.
Okay.
No.
Mayor, one moment, Your Honor.
Ma'am. While you do that, ma'am, you said you were seated in the third row. How far in on that third row were you?
Right there where the gentleman is with the black sweatshirt.
So you were seated on the end
Yes.
toward the aisle.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Cross-examination.
Okay, ma'am. So you were here to testify, and if you remember, was that in case number 25 FB 1106, if you know?
I have no idea.
Did you get a subpoena to come to court to testify in that case? In that case.
I did not get a subpoena.
Okay.
They asked me to come and testify.
Now, it's my understanding that you're indicating that you are
Picking
sitting
him out. Picking him out.
in the gallery courtroom right here.
Wow. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you said that there's a member of law enforcement 2 rows up, sitting right here, where there's an individual with a sheriff's shirt.
Yes.
And your testimony to Mr. Buckner comes down the hall, the aisleway, stands at that same pew where the law enforcement officer was and issued a threat to you, which would have been within 15 feet of the law enforcement officer.
I never said that. I said he stopped at where I was sitting and said something to me. I never at any time said anything that he stopped where the police officer was sitting at the pew.
So when he stopped, he was at your row,
Yes.
Picking him out.
but there was still a law enforcement officer 2 rows up.
Yes.
Was there other law enforcement officers in the courtroom like there are today?
There's one sitting up in the corner, up here on the right-hand side, where the gentleman is with the glasses.
When any of, I'm sorry,
Sitting where?
The gentleman with the glasses over here?
Mr. Bird?
Yes. That's where the other.
Oh, on this side? On this side?
On this side.
On the right? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, counsel.
when this statement was allegedly made, none of the law enforcement officers in the courtroom jumped up and said anything?
No.
Now, you indicated that after you testified, you stayed in the courtroom.
Yes.
Was there a sequestration order that,
What?
was there an order that you leave the courtroom after you finished testifying?
No.
Okay, so you heard the testimony after your testimony.
Yes.
Mr. Buckner's lawyer at the time challenged the accusations that you made regarding Mr. Buckner, correct?
In which case?
In the case you were there to testify about.
Okay.
Your Honor, I would object to what that other lawyer did. That would be hearsay.
I'm not asking for
Well,
what,
she's asking, I'll overrule that. I mean, he's not asking what she said. He's just asking what her impression of what he did.
Right.
So go ahead.
his lawyer in the case you were there to testify on was challenging you on the assertions, allegations you made about Mr. Buckner.
For that case?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he was challenging me, he was just questioning me
Okay.
as you are.
And there was another witness that came up to testify after your testimony, correct?
Yes,
You heard that witness's testimony.
yes,
You were there when the preliminary examination ended, correct?
yes,
That Judge Washington, found that there was no probable cause that Mr. Buckner committed a crime. Correct.
What objection of relevance is that?
Well, Your Honor, the relevance is they've charged my client with intimidating.
I'm going to overrule the objection.
Yep. Judge Washington found that there was no probable cause to believe that Mr. Buckner committed a crime after you testified, correct?
she also stated that it can be called back up if they get the proof that they need.
Okay. Which is fair. All right. So after you made accusations about Mr. Buckner pointing guns at people, correct?
What does that have to do with this case?
Ma'am, I don't.
Answer the question, ma'am.
Yes, I did.
You made accusations that you saw him deliver crack from a great distance away? You didn't make the accusation? Did you make an accusation that you saw him point a gun at somebody?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions, y'all.
I have no redirect, Judge. Thank you.
All right. Ma'am, how long did it take you to report this to somebody? Where was Mr. Buckner when you reported this?
He had walked out of the courtroom.
How long after he walked out of the courtroom did you report it?
Within probably 2 minutes, if even that,
To whom?
to the police officer passing by.
Is that officer here today?
Yes,
Okay, and that's who you reported it to?
yes,
That interaction, and if you look back on the right-hand side where the gentleman seated in the black shirt is, you're saying that's where you were sitting.
yes,
When Mr. Buckner came down the aisle, you'll notice that the back row is basically a handicap accessible row or a non-handicap accessible row. You see that where it extends out?
yes.
How close was Mr. Buckner to you when he's making these comments?
He was past where the gentleman is sitting with the black sweatshirt, and he was in between that row and the woman sitting right behind him. And he leaned back and
And he leaned back.
he was, turned his head back and spoke to me.
So he's, because that's a little bit different than what you told me before. Because you're saying that he was where the gentleman seated in the black
Right.
is, he was past him toward the door.
No, right, there's right where he's sitting, right there, at that spot, right there. It's like there's a spot, where you, not where you would enter, but where would be if you're standing beside. So closer towards the opening of the back row.
So he's standing closest to the opening of the back row.
Right, but he's beside where the gentleman is with the black sweatshirt. And that's where it's.
But he's over on that side of the courtroom? I mean, are you telling me he's no longer in the middle aisle?
No, he crossed from the middle aisle to stand closer towards the right-hand side. He's no longer in the middle. He's standing like as if you're having a one-on-one private conversation with somebody.